What is going on, party people, and welcome to episode 3 of the Reactor Corps, a special podcast that we do here at the Whatnauts, where we talk about all sorts of stuff from big blockbuster movie events to new Netflix shows, whatever we want. Just stuff that we don't want to miss and we have to talk about. So welcome, my name is Kyle Springer, and along for the ride I have Eric Mannix with me.
Yeah.
And also Kaylee Fleeman.
Oh,
yeah,
baby.
for the first time ever on a podcast for the Whatnauts. Now, Kaylee, this is really cool for me because I have heard you many times on View from the Gutters. But I have not gotten to actually have a full-on conversation with you. So this is exciting for me, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Kaylee's one of my favorite people to do a podcast with. I don't think we were ever on Views together, sadly, but Kaylee did a bunch of guest spots on Out of the Fridge and was always one of my favorite guests. I hesitate to say I had a favorite guest because I don't want anyone to fight me, but Kaylee was high up there on the list of people like when we were talking about having guests. So it's good to be podcasting again. It's been a minute. You've been busy.
Yeah, no, I just accepted my diploma yesterday, so that was exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely big congrats on that.
So, but I have free time now, and it's great. It's so nice.
So, yeah, Kyle, your timing is perfect. And yeah, how we ended up seeing the movie, for those who don't know out there in TV land, me and Kaylee are not just friends, we're also co-workers at Gabby's Olympic Cards and Comics in Lacey, Washington, and our boss Gab is really awesome for many reasons, but one of the things that we've been doing is kind of cool, just like family building things, is she buys out a theater every time a new Star Wars movie comes out, and we just all go together, and we shut down the shop early, and we all go see it. And so we've been doing it. We've been doing it since episode 7 came out, and so for each Star Wars release, we've done it. And so last Thursday when Solo came out, same thing. We all there's this small town Yelm. It's like about 30 minutes away from where we're at in Lacey. But anyways, we drove out there. Really awesome theater. They're really cool, and they always treat us right. And yeah, we all saw Solo: A Star Wars Tale as a big nerdy comic book family together.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome.
It's a lot of fun. I really love it, and it was like perfect timing for you since you just graduated.
Yeah.
And well, you actually have the time now because even a couple weeks ago, I'm like.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go and be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. If you guys haven't figured out already, we are going to be talking about Solo, Star Wars. Is it story or tale? Because you said
it might be tale. I just call it Solo all the time, but I'm sure it's like : a Star Wars whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the official full on. Yeah,
sounds good to me. I actually ended up seeing it on Friday afternoon. I had a short day at work and then went to the 5 o'clock showing, and the theater was pretty empty actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's right at that. It's like the end of the work day, so I'm pretty sure people were just getting out of work, and like the next showing after that would have been a lot more packed. But it was kind of nice, like being one of the only ones in the theater, and not having like loud people being like, "Oh my God, what's this? Who's that? I don't know. I haven't seen this one."
See, that's it's weird when we all go out, because we're all such huge nerds that like any kind of like reference, any kind of like guest spot, whatever, like everyone knows it. So it's like yeah. It's just like everyone just like getting excited at the same time. Like no one's ever like, oh, who's that? Because everyone knows, because we're all just huge nerds. And so that's So anytime there was like a cool cameo or like a surprise that you weren't necessarily expecting, like, oh my god. And then really the thing after the movie is like, well, when does that happen in the timeline? And like, is this like those are the discussions that happened, of course, after the film was like when exactly does this take place? And then of course we start dissecting that.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I guess we can go ahead and dive in. If you are tuning into this and you haven't seen the movie yet, this is going to be a big spoiler cast / review / reactions, which is kind of where we get the name the Reactor Corps. So we are going to dive in. What did you guys think? What were your expectations going in? I guess I should start with.
So for me, I loved Rogue One.
Okay.
And I think like Rogue One has stood out as possibly my favorite Star Wars movie, like hands down. And so I've been really excited for the Star Wars stories that are coming out, like the ones that are separate from the big arc from the trilogies. And so I was really stoked for this one. And I love Han Solo. I've had a crush on Solo since I was like 5 years old. Like from the moment where I was like, oh, dating's a thing. I was like, Solo, perfect.
He won't be solo much longer.
Yeah, not if I have anything to say about it. 4-year-old me says. But so yeah, I was just really stoked to see this movie, and I love Chewbacca, and I love Solo, obviously. And so just getting a chance to get more of that characterization than what we really see in the movies, because like even though he's one of the main three, we don't necessarily get a whole lot of like backstory or anything for him. He's just kind of, he's there, he's an established person, he's pretty comfortable in who he is. There's no like major changes or like major reveals that happen with him that you're like, oh, what? I didn't know that he did this, or so it was really cool to see that movie.
Yeah. Well, what about you?
I'll be honest, Han Solo is one of my all-time favorite just characters in fiction ever. He was my favorite Star Wars character until I discovered Ahsoka Tano, and now Ahsoka's my favorite Star Wars character because she's just my precious child. But I still love Han a lot. And I mean, this movie looked fine. I wasn't sure. I felt weird that I wasn't getting hyped about it. I was like, the week leading up to it, I was like, oh, we're going to go see it, and it's going to be fun, it's going to be a cool experience. But like the movie itself, I was like, I don't know, man. I think part of it's because I love Han Solo so much, I was very like reserved about it.
Yeah.
And then, I saw it, and I adored it. I thought it was fantastic. And then now I feel dumb that I was ever like doubting it at all, because I'm like, well, dude, it's Ron Howard, who's an amazing director, I think it's just because it's so precious to me, but I was super into it. Like Haley, I think it gave me enough of his backstory, but I think Han's a character that you do need to keep some mystery to. Like, I'm glad we don't see him as like a little kid. I'm glad it's like he's already somewhat established, as this kind of like roguish character, but then we see that, well, he does have a nice heart and he is like a good person, even when he tries to like act like he's not, because that's like the things I like about Han. And I feel like with all the actors,
good guy. Definitely
not the good guy. It's like, oh yeah, like who are you playing, man? But the other thing too was like, okay, and I think the thing I had some trepidation on was like, is he gonna just do like a Harrison Ford impression, because that's such a beloved character that's like in your mind. I mean, I grew up as a small child with like the original trilogy.
That's all we know.
But they didn't go there. It was very much like I could see him turning into that character with time. Yes. But I like that they didn't. It's like every once in a while they'd say something to be like a little quirk, and it like wasn't exact, but I could definitely see like, okay, I don't know how many years later, but you'll be that character that I know and love. And so, it actually managed to feel like fresh and organic. And I walked away very, very happy with the film. And cool. Now I feel silly that I ever doubted it.
So I was very skeptical going in. I had very, very low expectations because I didn't like Episode 8 like at all.
A lot of people didn't.
I think
I like it, but your mileage may vary.
Immediately walking out of it, I was like, okay, it was okay. But then afterwards, I was like, yeah, now that I think about it some more, I'm not a huge fan of Episode 8. I don't know. But I mean, I know this is a different director, it's separate film, different time period. So I was like, okay, well, at least, I'll at least give it a shot. And I ended up really enjoying this. I think it's a good like start of the summer film to go see. So yeah, like it's something that it kind of is exactly what I thought it would be too. Like, it's his origin story. It answered like all of the stuff that I wanted to know about him, like how he met Chewie, how he met Lando, you know, how they did the Kessel Run, and that was it, you know.
Yeah, I think it gave me enough, and without giving me more than that. The way I've been describing it to people that haven't seen the film to not ruin anything for them is I'll basically say it's a really awesome heist film filled with action, and it has, you know, the story beats that you would expect it to have. So yeah, like with the Millennium Falcon and with Chewie and Lando and how they meet. And so yeah, it was perfect. And then, you know, some surprises thrown in there that I wasn't expecting, which was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, like one of the things that I was hearing kind of as the embargo, like the review embargo lifted, was that people thought it was very disjointed.
Interesting.
Did you guys get that impression, or did you think it worked well pacing wise?
I never felt like bored or like anything was skipped or anything like that. So I think that I didn't think about the pacing is kind of indicative that the pacing was just fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
like one of my problems with episode 8 was that like I just felt like it lingered too long on some things, and then suddenly it jumped and it was like, oh, huge plot point and moving on. And I didn't feel like Solo did that. I felt like everything was given kind of the appropriate amount of time, and I think like there were some like character deaths where I was like, oh well, that was really quick, and like I'm not super into that. But then like they kind of go back and cover it in a way where it's like that's kind of just the world. Like that's how it is for these characters. Like people that you love and really care about might just die, and that's just how it is. So I thought the pacing was fine, and it felt like a very cohesive story to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't read any reviews. For one thing, I didn't want anything spoiled for me, and also I don't give a shit about other people's opinions, and so like I just didn't worry about it. It's weird podcasting for so long because it's weird that like why do people listen for my opinion? It doesn't matter, but it's like just it's an opinion. Make your own opinion on things. That's why I don't like review things. It's like, oh, I'll have a discussion. That's different. But yeah, so I didn't know about any of this stuff going in. What the perceptions were of it. And now I'm seeing stuff about it only made whatever $36 million in a day or whatever, and that's like apparently a failure because whatever, it's Star Wars and they all make like $1 bajillion. But no, I loved it. I watched the movie and I was enthralled. I was into it the whole time. I can say that I was really into the story. I loved it. I wasn't seeing the actors, I was seeing the characters, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can give it, because again, it's such iconic, like, Harrison Ford and all these characters that, like, I grew up with, and I was able to, like, just meld into the film and let it be what it needed to be, and even though I was skeptical walking in, it convinced me, it entertained me, it did what it needed to do. And at the time, the things that I was most impressed by watching the film and that I recall now is I remember it had amazing just cinematography. I mean, all the Star Wars films are like pretty gorgeous, but that film, like the lighting for some reason just really got me. Like in the dude with all the scars on his face, I don't remember his name, but his like office, there's all these, there's all these gorgeous like windows, and then like all the regal capes, both on Lando and the young woman. Sorry, I'm really bad with names.
Kira.
But Kira. Like she also had some amazing outfits, and so again, Star Wars, like there's like Rogue One has some really cool set pieces, but yeah, there's something with like Solo where like it's one of the most visually stunning I think of the films. It like felt smaller in scale in some ways, even though it was like there was a ton going on and there was like a ton of action. I think it's just because it was a smaller cast of characters, which I was about, because I was able to like glob onto these characters and love them even more. But yeah, I was into it. It felt very cohesive to me.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of felt the same thing. I was like, the pacing wasn't that bad. Like the only thing I can see was like the opening scene where it's the big action heist, and then it kind of cuts back to, okay, well, how did he get started, but basically from then on, which was most of the movie, it was all just one big storyline, didn't really hop around. But yeah, I liked the cinematography. I think for me, this one, it was more about the costume design, though. Like you said, like they just had. It was such a different style from what I'm supposed to, or what I imagine Star Wars to be, especially in that era. Because I think like the original movies and kind of when this is happening, most of the stuff really looked used and dirty, and we didn't get to see that like shiny and sleek stuff.
Yeah, that was always my problem with the prequels.
Mix.
Everything was too shiny in the prequels, Like, why all the ships look messed up? Because the original Star Wars, a lot of that stuff was, like, beat up and used. Like, Luke hops into an X-Wing, and it looks like it's had better days. And so, to me, like, I don't know. I think they're getting better in futuristic movies in general, but it's like, just because you have, like, scanner technology and lightsaber technology, whatever, like, it's just like now, like, the scanner at work doesn't always work, and the phone sometimes shuts off. Sometimes the computer, like, just, like, resets, and you're like, cool, great, now it's time for a firmware update. So I like when sci-fi movies will acknowledge that, too. Sometimes you have to just kick the thing because it's a piece of shit or whatever. But yeah, I like the world in Solo felt very lived in, and I definitely appreciated that. Yeah. Amazing character designs. All the cool biker people, too. I loved their outfits, too. Yeah. God, they're so good.
Because to me, it was neat to see that seedy underbelly of the like back alleys and stuff like that, and how grimy that is. But then to see Dryden Voss, who's like the gang later, right? And he's the one with all the real sleek and shiny stuff with the penthouse office. I was like, okay, there you go. That makes sense that he would be the one to have that. It was gorgeous. I loved it.
Space yacht song.
Yeah.
I want a space yacht. That'd be sweet. There was one scene that I think it was at the start when they were on the snowy planet kind of thing, and there was one shot that was a little weird to me where it was so foggy that you couldn't really see the mountains, and it was just like where they were standing, and I was like, the mountains behind them would have been beautiful, but it's just like this white fog, and I was like, you can't see anything, but oh well, the rest of it looks good. But yeah, so there were I'm trying to think, because there were some interesting like name drops and stuff like that. What do you guys like? When do you guys think this was taking place exactly? Because I've been trying to figure that one out.
I think between episodes 2 and 3.
Between
somewhere in that timeline is my guess. I could certainly be wrong on that.
Okay.
So.
Go ahead.
So my theory is, and I could have like totally made this up because I just like really want this to happen, and maybe like I just hallucinated this, but so major spoiler incoming. When you see Darth Maul at the very end and he stands up,
amazing reveal, yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I heard mechanical clicking.
You did, yes.
Yeah. I heard it.
So I think it's after 3.
And he's older. He's clearly older when you see his face, too.
So,
I think so, too. I think it's like
I'm thinking
Rebels
that this happens, like,
time period, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it can be between episodes 2 and 3 because it was like there's very clearly stormtroopers like from the original trilogy, like not the clone troopers anymore, and it still would have been clone troopers if it was older. So yeah, although see that's maybe it's like 10 years or so because Rebels is like 4 years before A New Hope, so it's like right before. So this is maybe like 10 years before A New Hope, you know,
maybe
somewhere. So
like
clearly after all the prequel stuff, after the Clone Wars, after all that, the Jedi are gone. I also like that other than Darth Maul, there's no Force stuff. There's no.
Yeah.
I like all that stuff. I love all the space wizard stuff. I do, but it was nice that this movie, like, that wasn't what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was neat. I think this movie was a good, I guess, like, starter movie to be like, hey, there's other stories out there besides, like, Jedi and stuff like that. Stuff that you don't know yet. Because, like you said, your favorite character is Ahsoka Tano, right? Like, there's the Mandalorians that we still really haven't explored all that much, and their whole war with the Jedi that we don't really know about, or if that's canon. So I think hopefully, if it's, because it sounds like they're gonna go ahead with a Boba Fett story and an Obi-Wan story, so I'm hoping they like explore stories with those characters that aren't close to what we've seen, like aren't somehow tied in with what we've seen. And I know this one kind of was, because it was basically the Han Solo origin story, but I think it opened us up to, like, hey, there's other things happening out there. Darth Maul is actually still alive, which, if you haven't seen the cartoons, you wouldn't know that. But, yeah. What do you guys think?
I know with Rogue One, one of my favorite elements of it was that you got to see, the Force, but like used not by like a Jedi, and just to, and things like that in Rogue One showed that like there's just different facets of this world. Because the Star Wars universe is so immense, and there's tons of like smugglers and bounty hunters, and I love all that stuff. And in the main trilogy, that's always like side pieces to like the big Jedi kind of Skywalker stuff, and I love all that stuff too. But I like that with Rogue One and with Solo, we've seen the camera pan to what previously had been like the side pieces, and I was like, no, well, this is actually the whole point of these stories, and I think that's why I liked both of them so much. So so I guess within like Boba Fett, I mean, I'm assuming that movie's going to have tons of bounty hunters, tons of more of a vibe like Solo, I guess, with just more crime and stuff like that, and that could be cool. I actually am going to get hate mail. I don't think Boba Fett's that interesting of a character. I think he looks awesome. I think he succeeded in getting eaten in the original movies. I mean, I'm not counting any of the expanded universe stuff. I'm only what I actually saw with my own eyes. He stood around and said, "He's no good to me, Dad," and looked like a badass saying it, and then he got eaten, and that's what he actually did for real on camera. So, fight me, nerds! But that could be cool. I wanted an Obi-Wan movie for a long time, just because I fucking love Ewan McGregor, and he's just amazing in anything he's in, and he's fantastic. And in the Star Wars comics that Marvel's doing now, they'll do like these 6-part story arcs, and then they'll do these like random one-shot stories to kind of like bridge the gap as they're they're doing like little films or whatever. And they've done a few that were Obi-Wan stories, like, oh, here's me like secretly watching Luke when Luke's like 6 and doesn't know that I'm there, and that kind of thing. And I've really loved those, and those have been my favorite of like the Marvel, like the mainstream Star Wars stuff. And so I guess I hope if they're gonna go that route, I'd love to see more of that stuff with Obi-Wan, do like secret Obi-Wan grumpy farmer stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things, and the original trilogy is certainly very guilty of this, and I think all of the main Star Wars stories have been just about equally as guilty of this. Although recently they've been trying to do a little bit better, which is sort of discounting the average person's experience in this. Like, being laid under siege by the Empire is no good for anybody.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's a genuinely terrible thing. And like, when we see, episodes 4, 5, and 6, it's just like, and this band of rebels is going to stop the oppressor. But you don't really see, like, what the Empire is guilty of doing, other than, like, they exploded a planet, and then it's like, and on to the next thing, like,
yeah.
So you, like, with Rogue One and with Solo, you really see, like, these worlds that are allowed to exist under the Empire's control, where it's like, kids like Solo and Kira are mistreated because there's a system in place where kids like them are able to fall through the cracks and are exploited by criminal elements because the Empire has like a stronghold. And like Rogue One, it's you get separated from your parents, and people are enslaved under the Empire under the guise of like, oh well, you get to work. I just did air quotations. It's been a while since I did podcasting. I realized
podcasting is a visual medium.
Yeah. So air quotes. You get to work for the Empire, and definitely not your family is also under threat. And if you try to leave, you'll die. So I think a lot of the Star Wars stories are doing a really good job of really illustrating the human aspect.
Yeah, like, hey, it actually really sucks to be underneath the Empire.
Yeah.
They're actually bad guys.
Yeah, they're actually legitimately bad guys. Trust me.
Yeah, like, I think we'll start to see more of that, and I think that's what this opens up, like, the general mainstream movie-goer, too. Just like, hey, there's more to this world than this Skywalker story here. But yeah, so I really liked the reveal of God, my mind went blank of his name, but that dude, Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my favorite characters, and I'm a little bit behind on Rebels. So I don't really know what happens after there's the whole thing at the Jedi Temple and everyone's fighting there. But I'd like to see him kind of get power in the underworld while all of that is happening, and then to see him like get kicked out and just be this like, obviously he's still alive and kicking. No pun intended.
With his robo leg.
Yeah. With
probably gets hurts to get hit kid in the ass with a robo leg.
But like I think was one of the things that I left the film with most curious about, because he's kind of put in that like Emperor, like that shadowy bad guy, like, oh yes, my scheme is working. And so it, like, I'm just like, oh, he's kind of one of the bad guys in this, and it looks like he was still up to something. So I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna set the like Boba Fett or Obi-Wan movie around that time, especially Obi-Wan.
That would be super sweet, especially with their history together. I know I really enjoyed that reveal. I think everyone in the theater had a collective gasp at the same time. You know,
I feel like most people would be confused, just like, wait, isn't he dead?
When you see him, I think a lot of people wouldn't have known. Again, we're all nerds and we all watched the Clone Wars, so first though, when he's got the hood on, you know, it very much looks like the Emperor, you know, and so you're like, okay, and you know it's not the Emperor because the Emperor's dead, right? But at first you're like, well,
Darth Maul,
but like
Anakin, like,
when you see it, you're like, well, who is that? It's clearly like, okay, some kind of Sith from wearing a hood. And then when it comes out, I like lost my shit. I was like, oh,
yeah, I was like,
yes, my boy, right there. Because I always loved Darth Maul, and I always thought like, yeah, he kind of got a raw deal. It was almost like the Marvel, villain treatment, where it's like, he's awesome and he's gone now. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad they brought him back in the expanded universe stuff. So it's kind of, I don't say legitimizing it, because, I mean, again, it's all considered in canon, I guess, all like the Clone Wars, the CG, so, which is amazing. If you haven't watched it, it's really, really good. I love it.
Some of the best Star Wars, period, in my opinion.
Honestly, that was the single reason I didn't quit on Star Wars was, after the prequels left a bad taste in my mouth, the Clone Wars show came out, and I loved it so much that I kept it towing through the whole time. And Ahsoka Tano was my baby, so of course, I had to stand for her. But yeah, that was really, really cool. And now I'm wondering though, like, because there's always the rule of two with the Sith, so does he have an apprentice? Like, what's up? Like, what's he? There's so many questions.
Did Palpatine kill Savage? I don't remember if he did or not.
Dude, it's been a minute.
I
feel like
I
Savage
don't know.
is Diggity Dunzo. I'm pretty sure Savage is Diggity Dunzo, but I don't remember. I remember he was a badass motherfucker, but that's all I remember about Savage Opress at this point.
I remember that was his apprentice for a while, and then they took over Mandalore, and then Emperor Palpatine was like, no way. And I don't remember if he killed him then or not.
I'm gonna look it up. Because I don't remember. My memory is the worst.
Maybe
and I
Kira.
watched it a while ago.
Kira is the apprentice.
She might be. She
cool.
might be. She called his ass for a reason.
I'd be about that, to have a female Sith Lord. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
She plays her cards pretty close in that movie. So yeah, we don't know if she's force sensitive or what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
That would be sweet. So, what did you guys think of the other name drops? There were two of them that I caught. One, there was Bosk, and then Aura Singh was the second one. Did you guys care much about that, or was it just like, eh?
I mean, I like Bosk, so I was about
Yeah.
it. Or Singh, the name sounds really familiar, but
I don't know who that is.
I was like, that sounds familiar. And I said, that's about
Bounty hunter that, if you remember in the Clone Wars cartoon, young Boba Fett was working with her.
Oh, okay. I haven't finished Clone Wars yet. I'm really bad about finishing shows I like. This show's great. Time to watch something else.
She's another bounty hunter, and apparently, what's his name killed her. So I was like, oh, okay, that's...
Kyle, you were right. I had to look it up on StarWars.com, but Darth Sidious, the Emperor killed him.
Okay.
Savage Opress.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that leaves them open for a new apprentice.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Because I could see them really doing a side trilogy between this, the Obi-Wan movie, especially considering his history with Darth Maul and the Mandalorians, because he also used to have a love affair thing with the Duchess.
Yeah, I think it's cool to just connect the dots a little more. So in this, it's not just the Han Solo origin, having the Darth Maul thing in there clearly more connects it big picture wise, and so
I'd be all about that.
Yeah, they could very much plug in more pieces and still have it be part of a bigger overarching story, and I'm about that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to the main event. I think what everyone has been waiting to hear: Lando. What did you guys think
great.
of Lando?
Lando was perfect in every way. Just 100%. I was there for him. I was ready. And I just everything about Donald Glover's portrayal of Lando.
It was amazing.
I was worried because I really love Donald Glover. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to separate the two,
right,
that
sure.
I would just see it as Donald Glover playing Lando. But after watching that movie, I was like, no, he was born to play this role. This was perfect. This was the perfect role for him.
He's a fantastic actor. I mean, he's fucking fantastic at everything. But he's I think the most surprising thing that he's good at is acting, and just how many different roles he can do. Because I love Community. I've seen him in Atlanta, which is his own show that he writes and acts in and stuff like that, and they're all just completely different characters and stuff, and he nails it.
Yeah, when I was heading into Solo, I knew that I was gonna love Lando. I was like, I know that's gonna be fun. I didn't know how much he was going to be in the movie. I figured,
Sure.
He may not be in it a ton, but, Don Glover, he's always fantastic. So that was, the initial, thing that I allowed myself to be excited about was, Lando, if nothing else, will be a treasure. And he was. Thankfully, I do feel like everyone kept up. But yeah, so I don't feel like he stole the show or anything. I think everyone, like, it was a pretty balanced film, and I ended up, like, you know, really loving all the characters and really being into it. But of course, I absolutely adored, you know, his performance. I thought it was fantastic. Because he's a hard character to get right, because he's this cocky son of a bitch, and he's a bit ridiculous, but you can't play him too goofy. He is a little dangerous, you know, and it's hard to get that right, and he got that right, you know, and so I was very, very happy. Just his collection of capes, oh my god, that was killing me. His wardrobe, that was fucking perfect. For that scene alone, this movie is worth it.
Kira's in there just like, I had to try one of them on. That would be me. Be like, come on, I had to know what it's like.
Well, and I love it because you see her wearing you know, a few throughout the film, and you're like, go on, girl, and it looks real good. It looks fucking fantastic. So I loved it. Yeah,
she need 100% more capes in Star Wars.
Yeah. No, for real. I honestly think that's a big part of my enjoyment of it. Everyone just looks majestic AF wearing a cape. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna start wearing a cape. What's up?
Like you have
be like the fucking Will pre you know, eating himself to death.
you have the like space wizard movies, and then you have the like space cowboys and capes movies.
Straight up.
That would be amazing.
Yo, dog, how do you feel about Sergio Leone in space with some capes? Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah, he was a little bit more regal than I expected. Like I kind of expected him to be a bit more of the like James Bond smooth kind of thing, especially in his younger days. Just like knowing how much trouble he got into or like always like knowing that he has stories, right?
I think you think of people in their youth. I mean, I'm 37 now, so I'm old enough that, you know, I'm not a complete old man. But I remember my younger self, and I was certainly louder and cockier and, you know, talked a lot more and about fucking nothing at all, you know, than I do now. And so I think, Lando, when we see him in Cloud City, you know, in the original trilogy, he is more the James Bond smooth. But we don't know exactly, you know, that could have been 10, 20 years later, and who knows how many experiences he's had in that time to, like, mellow him out a little bit more. That's how I view it, I guess.
I guess when I saw him in the original trilogy, I'm thinking more like businessman. Now, he has the line in this one where he's like, I hate mining cities. But when we first see him in the original trilogy, he is like in charge of a whole mining planet. So he has this like business mindset too.
But there's also there's a diplomacy there in the original trilogy. Like, you know that he does care for those people, and then like, you know, with everything that happens with Han, it's like, you know, he's like, obviously he feels horrible that he had to fuck him over, but he like literally had no choice to like save everyone else there. And so it's interesting to see like him go from what we see in this film, you know, where he's clearly more about himself, you know, to like being in a more selfless role. He's still, you know, regal and flamboyant or whatever, but, you know, the fact that he's in a more political role, you know, is a little surprising. It's not surprising since we know it comes, but if you didn't know it and this was your first film, you know, I think it's really cool to see that, Lando actually is going to have a lot of growth and have an arc, and I think that's really cool and really exciting.
Which I think also, like, justifies Han's reaction to seeing him in Bespin, where he's like, look at you, and he's like, you know, like, he totally changed how he conducts himself, because before he, you know, cheated at cards all the time to get whatever he wanted. And, like, now he's, like, a business professional and in charge of this major mining operation. Yeah.
It also legitimized the Han old buddy, because that was the thing that people always made fun of, is like, he doesn't say his name. Like, he says his name wrong. Everyone else, and it's like one of those, sure, it was probably like a goof in the originals or whatever, where like, you know, whatever, they just don't worry about it. But I love that it's like, because everyone has those friends that like, you know, that you can fuck with them, and like, come on, man, you know, like, we're cool. And so like, we know in this, it's very intentionally him fucking with him, which I love so much. Yeah.
And there was the callback to, I guess, in the original trilogy, when Leia tells Han that she loves him, and he says, I know. And then
Oh, yeah.
this one, Lando goes, I hate you. And he goes, I know.
Yeah. So good.
It's fantastic. He was so good in this film.
He was, yeah. He was great. Also, Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson was fucking amazing. Another one that I was like, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because Woody Harrelson's great. But, I don't know. I remember just like seeing the cast list and seeing that the director had changed, and there's all these things where I was like, man, what is even happening with this movie? But then, like the minute I saw, his character on screen, I was like, oh yeah, I love Woody Harrelson. What am I doing? But it's the same way. Even though I've seen Woody Harrelson in a ton of stuff, like I think True Detective was the last thing I saw him in, and he was fucking killer in that. But yeah, he was just so damn good. Star Wars. Well, I guess that's the weird thing. I think that's part of it. Now I think about it, Star Wars usually doesn't have big names, and like Woody Harrelson's like a pretty big movie star in my eyes, and so you know what I mean. Like you often don't have that, and like even like Don Glover now is like pretty famous. Even like with like the new trilogy, I mean, like Harrison Ford, obviously is Harrison Ford at this point, so you have to have those people reprise the roles. But past like the returning people that were mostly stars because of Star Wars
mostly
in the first place,
no ones, yeah.
Yeah, like no one knew who Daisy Ridley was or John Boyega, before, and now they're certainly, and then of course they're fantastic. But it was one of those like casting Superman things where like you have to have unknowns, and I think that was part of, I guess, my trepidation too. Was like, oh, there's a lot of movie stars in this, but again, they did so well that like I didn't see Don Glover. I really did see Lando, and like Atlanta, I just watched and it's fucking amazing. So yeah, I think that says a lot. And again, Woody Harrelson, he was his character. I think that's something I hadn't seen from Star Wars, is such recognizable stars in such notable roles.
Yeah. So I don't remember where I saw this. It must have been like someone tweeted in article or whoever. But the actress who played L3 apparently didn't even know what a droid was when she auditioned for the role. So she like obviously was not a Star Wars fan. Which like
that's pretty great.
That's amazing that they like would go like not in the depth. That might not be the right way to put it, but like go to like such unknown actors that like aren't even fans of what they've made so far, right? Like I think that really kind of inspires me to think like, hey, they are trying new things. They are wanting to see what other spins they can bring to this. At least in the kind of like tangential films and stuff like that, because the main ones are kind of recycling some stuff. But it seems to me that they're at least starting or trying to experiment with some stuff.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that, and at the same time, there's also certain tropes that you kind of have to hit in Star Wars, and like having a sassy droid is certainly part of like your Star Wars movie. Like you had K2SO, who's amazing, but they all do it like differently. Like K2SO was just like fucking just grumpy motherfucker. I loved him. He was such an asshole, and she was more. I don't know, the more free spirit, like fucking power to the people, like, and I was about it. She was great. She was
the social justice warrior.
Very social justice. She was a social justice droid. And then she was also just sassy as fuck, because you need the sassy droid. That's like, and that's always one of my favorite elements of any Star Wars film. That's something that I just love. Like even in the prequels, it's all about R2D2. Like if you take R2D2 out of the prequels, like everyone dies. Like R2D2 is like the single most important character in any of those original those three films. Yeah, but I loved her character as well, absolutely. And it was really cool getting to see her live on like through the ship and see how that was like, part of her programming. That was, I don't know, something I was not expecting, but I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I also thought it was cool that they sort of justified what she had said earlier to Kira about like, well, I know Lando loves me.
Which was one of the funniest moments.
That was
right. It was really great. And then Kira's like, "Well, how would that?" And she's like, "It worked." But then you actually see like a justification of that. Like it wasn't just like, look, it's funny because it's a robot and she thinks that he loves her. Like he does.
Yeah.
And so you see that, and I just felt like really. I started crying a whole lot because I was like, oh no, it was really good. I really enjoyed her story.
I'm still wondering if it's like the type of love she thought it was. I mean, obviously he did care for her a lot, right? But I kind of got the vibe it was like you are my best friend type of love, rather than the romantic one, which I think she thought.
Well, I know there was an article, probably several articles that came out right before the release of the film, because I think it was the director that was talking about Lando's sexuality being fluid,
Right?
And just talking about, because we've talked about like J.K. Rowling and how it's like, oh, a lot of this is lip service because you can say a character is queer, but
And
then
not
like
actually
if you never,
have them be
if
it
you
in
never
film.
actually saw the representation, you have not earned it. And I know there was some anger that was maybe the case, and we didn't. Yeah, we definitely saw that he cared for her, and very much could have been. But I mean, there's certain like Prince. Prince wasn't gay. He wasn't straight. He was Prince. He was sex. Man was like sex personified. Like was Prince.
We
like
are
that's how I
all
feel. There's
trying
certain, like,
to be him, no matter what
so
sexuality.
like, and Lando's kind of like Space Prince. So like, yeah, like it wouldn't surprise me if he was. I think definitely with L3 there was definitely like genuine affection there.
Sure.
As far as his sexuality and his queerness, I don't think they've like earned that yet, but I would love to see them keep exploring it for sure.
Do you think there would be any possibility of a Lando movie?
I sure hope so. I mean, Don Glover is such a big star now. I love that it's 2018. People are like just now like discovering Don Glover, because I feel like when his last record came out, it blew up, and then that was a couple years ago. Now this new one's blowing up, and it's like every time I'm like, God, do you not? It's good every time I get it on. It's whatever.
Did y'all forget?
He's like, did y'all forget? That was like 2 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I guess the internet age, man. People forget quickly.
And then
but
there was
geez,
the whole
that last record was the
Spider-Man
bomb.
thing, right? He got a whole bunch of publicity for being kind of the inspiration for Miles Morales.
Yeah, and then even in just the Spider-Man: Homecoming last year, he had a small part, but his part in that was amazing, and he's still doing Atlanta. To me, it's like, I don't know. I guess my perception is Don Glover's been like in the public eye, deservingly so, for
A while.
many years now, and so it's funny that people still like, yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, welcome to the club, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to shame anyone. Anyone that's trying to hop on board the train, you are all welcome. But it's interesting to me that people are still
grab a ticket and get in line.
welcome aboard.
But
I hope so. Yeah,
I might disagree with you. Actually. I think as much as everyone would want it, because it is Donald Glover, and he's, as we've said a million times now, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if he would be better used as like a Hulk type character, where he shows up in everyone else's films.
I would have agreed with you before I read the Lando. Did you read the Lando miniseries that Marvel put out a couple years ago?
I did not.
So, part of the reason I love Lando, I think, as much as I do now, is honestly because that series, it was Charles Soule and Alex Maleev of an excellent team.
Yeah.
And the story on that was just that Lando owes this gangster money, because of course he does, and so he has to steal this ship to pay this debt. And the ship he steals is Emperor Palpatine's pleasure cruiser.
Okay.
So of course he has Palpatine sending guards after him. But within that, there's like a locked room, and it has all these old Sith and Jedi artifacts. So it's really, really cool. You get to see just a deeper side of Lando. There's some really awesome stuff with Lobot as well.
This is
really heartbreaking.
His room. He has all of those Sith and Jedi stuff locked up somewhere.
The Emperor did.
Okay.
The Emperor did on his ship. That's why he's so adamant about getting it back. Because if it was just a possession, it'd be whatever. I mean, it'd probably still kill you just for the slight. But there's all this Sith stuff, and he's I need that back. Yeah. But that run was amazing, and it was all about Lando and all about his connections. At the end, he guns someone down, and and as they're like dying, they're like, "Oh my god, like I didn't think you were like that. I didn't think you were like a good shot, or you seem like a bubbling idiot." And he's like, "Yeah, well, that's gonna die with you." Like everyone will keep thinking that. I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. Like, oh.
Well, it was rad though because like you realize there's a cunning to Lando, there's a danger to Lando that like because again I love Billy D. Williams, but he's a little more aloof and a little more silly in the original films, and we don't see him much. I love him for what he's there, but I could forgive people because I used to think it too that like he's just a sillier character.
I mean, he's a smuggler.
Yeah, but that run shows that there's a more serious part of him, and there's a darkness to him that I hadn't seen on screen before. And now seeing with Don Glover's performance, I could definitely see. I mean, you'd have to get the right writer,
Sure.
You'd have to get the right script for sure. But I could absolutely see, and again, it'd be like this. It'd have to be like a cool heist film.
Mm-hmm.
But I could absolutely see like Lando being a vehicle for an amazing like Ocean's 11 heist film or something. Have it on. What was that fucking that
Canto Bite?
Canto Bite. Do it on
that'd be
Canto
sick.
Bite like 20 years earlier or whatever. Like, dude, that'd be dope. It'd be dope. I think they could do it.
Yeah.
I definitely think they could do it.
Okay.
Also, I'm 100% down for like 3,000 more space heist films. Like,
Oh,
if Star Wars
sure.
just wants to go in that direction, I am
Straight up.
for it. Like, that is number one in my heart. I love heist movies. I love space. So,
Yep.
Star Wars heist films,
yeah.
excellent.
So I looked this up. Before we got on here and started podcasting, I looked up like what were the Easter eggs in Solo, and one of the ones for Lando was, I guess, obviously him recording his like memoir thing, right? Where he's like the Calrissian Chronicles, Chapter 5. So there I was, which was an amazing scene. But apparently there are like a trilogy of novels that I guess are supposedly no longer canon, but maybe kind of canon by him mentioning them. But so there is like stories out there of him that like focus on him. So I mean, who knows? Maybe one day down the road, we could get a Lando spin-off, and have his own stuff there.
That'd be about it.
And apparently those books are what introduced that card game Sabacc into the Star Wars universe, which is sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. Fun fact. The more you know. Rock facts. But yeah, I guess last thoughts. Do you guys have any other roads you want to go down and discuss?
Gosh.
I do.
Yeah,
Go for
ahead.
it.
So the Alden Ehrenreich, yes, that is his name, who played Han. I had seen him before in Hail Caesar, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like really the only other big thing that he's done. Apparently, he like dies in an episode of Supernatural, but other than that, he's not. He's not a big name actor. And I remember seeing him get cast and like the internet blowing up and like, what, you didn't cast Chris Pratt? Like, what are you doing?
As much as I like him too, I don't think
Thank you. He's great, but no.
But he was excellent. He was a great young Han. Like,
Absolutely.
he just like captured that character so well. And like we had kind of talked about how like how the Han didn't feel like Harrison Ford as Han being played by somebody else. It felt like young Han Solo who has to like grow up and become this character. And I think if anybody who has not watched it but still listened to this episode to kind of see where and how they feel about it, or if they should see it, definitely give it a shot. Like, the characters are amazing and the actors are amazing, and everybody, you can tell that even with all of the drama that was surrounding the production of this movie, a lot of love went into it.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely a love letter to Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm definitely thankful that he did not just try to impersonate him. You know, he's like, hey, this is the same character, but at a different time and place and like mindset too, right? So it was good.
Yeah. I know I'm getting cynical in my old age, you know, I'm like, Disney owns Star Wars and they're going to churn one out forever and make money. And so I have that part of my brain that's hard to turn off. And that's, I'm sure, a big part of why I wasn't super stoked going to this. So really, I just more need to remind myself that, hey, you know, if the story's good, if it's there, then I'm good. I just need to be entertained. And it was a very entertaining film. It was gorgeously shot, amazing. Yeah, in every way, I really don't have any complaints about it. I was very satisfied. So I guess just remind myself, don't be such a fucking hipster sometimes. You know, they can make good movies. It's fine. It's fine.
Cool. Yeah, I think I mentioned it at the start of the show here, but I felt like it's a good like start of the summer action blockbuster. It's pretty fast paced. There's great cinematography, good action, all that stuff. Things explode. I think it will keep your attention the whole way through. So, and I think there isn't really. I mean, it's PG-13, but I don't. You know, there isn't like much language or stuff like that. Like it's a good.
No space boobs.
Yeah, there's no space boobs. But I would think it's a good family film, you know. Go.
I'm gonna take my kids. I'm gonna take my kids to see it. Definitely, yeah. The only reason I didn't take it the first time was it was like 10:40 at night when we saw it. But yeah, I've gotten my kids into Star Wars now, and I'd be very comfortable taking them to see it. Yeah, and they're 3 and 6, and they'd love it.
Cool. There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Did we have any questions or anything from people? Did anything get submitted?
We did not. No questions this time. But
it's all good.
Yeah, we will be doing these Reactor Corps episodes every so often. We don't really have a regular schedule for these. But if there is like a big movie blockbuster coming up or a new Netflix show that a bunch of us want to watch or something, we'll be making one. And you guys can send questions in to our email, the Whatnauts podcast @gmail.com. We will be happy to answer them and to talk about them here on air. But we also have a whole lot of other shows, too, besides this one. We have some that we do a lot more regular. We have the review show, which is up and running right now. But we are about to get a couple more launched here. Eric, you have one that you're about to start, I think, kind of end of summer here?
Yeah, so first up is questionable commentary. For about a year at this point, I've been recording film commentaries with unpaid intern Jess Beaver. She's the one that started that show, really wanted to get going on it. We were already just hanging out, you know, anyway. And we'll put on a film and just run a commentary track. We are not film experts. We don't know what we're talking about. It's literally just our opinion. And often we're just talking shit about each other and just just being haters. And so that's why, you know, I named the show Questionable Commentary, because I don't want people coming in thinking we're like going to have like real in-depth, like, well, you know, this establishing shot here is great because of this. It's more
literary
like, motherfucker, I saw it. You got that whole box set. Don't even try to hate. Yeah. It's a bunch of shit talk, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We decided along the way that we were going to do TV shows as well, and so we're currently recording the US version of The Office. We're going to do the complete series. We're like halfway through season 3 right now. What we're going to do when we start releasing, which should be in the next month or so here, we're going to do 1 week we'll do a film, the next week we'll release several of the TV show episodes, because it doesn't feel fair to be like, here's 90 minutes 1 week and here's like 20 minutes the next. Yeah. So when we do a TV show, we'll do several releases all at once to keep it about the same level of output. But that's coming pretty quick here. I also have Independent Focus, my comic book show with my good friend Belinda Garcia. That has not started recording yet. Episode 1 is actually going to be recorded this week. We are going to do Saga from Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. That's going to be episode 1. And we're just going to alternate taking turns. And we only do independent books, so anything from Image, Dark Horse, self-published stuff, anything that's not like the big two, Marvel and DC. As much as we love those guys, I mean, I work at a comic shop, and I don't need to tell you to read Batman. People get it at this point. But
wait, who's Batman?
You might not know about some cool
some books that don't get the
book or
spotlight.
whatever. Yeah, there's books I want to highlight that maybe you haven't heard of, and that's gonna be the point of that show. And so that one is coming in the fall. We're gonna start recording now. We're gonna stockpile episodes because I don't want to pond fade. So yeah, two shows currently in the works, and I'm gonna try to be on other Whatnauts fine programs as time allows, because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, sounds good. You guys can get a whole bunch more information on that on our brand new website too. We just launched, or I guess relaunched our website, which is thewhatnauts.com. All the information about all of our upcoming shows and shows that we are doing right now are on there. You guys can go follow us. I think most of our shows are going to be getting their own social media pages, but you can also follow us on Twitter at The Whatnauts, and all of the information will be on there as well. Kaylee, where can they find you online?
Oh, God. Well, right now, I have an Instagram, and I have a Facebook. And they're mostly personal because I've been out of the podcasting realm for a little while. But if you want to see me get mad about some things or really excited about some other things, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I guess, Robot Bear Arms is basically my handle for everything online. So
you're on Twitter, you just don't use it that much.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Bear Arms on
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
On Twitter. I'm on Reddit. I'm on all things I don't use. If you look up Robot Bear Arms, it's me.
There you go. And Eric, for you, where can they find you?
Similar to Kaylee, except I'm more prolific with what I say because I can't shut up. But I'm the Bobby Krogan on everything. So the Bobby Krogan on Twitter, Facebook. You can just search by Eric Mannix. That's all to say. Most of my stuff's just pictures of my kids and just me complaining about being tired. But on Twitter I tweet a lot about comic books and photography and podcasting stuff that we've been up to. So and I'm on Instagram as well. Eric Mannix Photography is my professional site, and the Bobby Krogan is my personal one. So again, just more cute pictures of my kids and me drinking coffee. With the other ones like modeling shoots and things like that. I think that's about it. It's mostly Instagram and Twitter. Even Facebook I'm not on that much. I'm old and I don't know how technology works, and
that's a-okay. If you guys wanted to yell at me for some reason, you guys can find me on Twitter at Hush315. And I think that will do it for this episode of the Reactor Corps. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you Kaylee and Eric for joining me here.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully you guys will tune into one of our other podcasts, and we will see you guys on the next episode of the Reactor Corps for who knows what. Adios, guys.
Bye.